Hello, let's do Wordle for Thursday, April 2nd. Let's play. Yesterday we spun the wheel. It said to start with snipe. Ooh, starts with S, has an E in it. Could be an ER word, one of these. I'm going to avoid using the E. Oh, sorry, I have to use the E. Sorry. I'm going to avoid using the R then. I wonder if we're something like STE. We can't do stern. I don't really want to use the R anyway. We can do any Saleh anagram that we'd like. So I'm going to do slate today because the official bot really likes slate. Oh no, it doesn't end in E. So we're going to go back to steel. All right. It's annoying that sometimes I don't immediately recognize that we can do a Saleh anagram. It's either SE or it's ER like I thought. It doesn't have to be ER, but like, come on. So I think it's time to jump into it. Should I actually something like shyer? Like I'm shyer than you are? Is there anything better? I'm having trouble thinking of words, so I'll just try shyer. Ooh, okay. It is ER. Okay. So we got to really think about what's left with that now that we know it definitely is. O or U, or we could be double E is definitely possible because there's sewer and sever. So it might be good just to go for one of them because of those two options. We want to make sure we don't get down to guess 6 without having V or W used. But let's think about what other options there are. Are there other that are SE? Luckily, we can't do EER because we know there's not an E in the middle. So if there's another E, it's exactly here. And I mean, Seder, I think is that ER or is that AR? Either way, I don't think that would be an answer. Like a Passover Seder. I think that's it for E. So is there an O? It just doesn't feel like a word, right? With the O there? Missing something? Same with U. I think we're safe with sever sewer. Okay, well I'm wrong. What did I miss? Could we have 3 consonants before the ER? Like SC. I think we're out of the ability to do that. Maybe I should have done S sewer now that I think about it, because there could be SW words, although I can't really think of any. Honestly, there's aren't. We can't continue that, so never mind. I don't think we can do another consonant here. I got to look at this a little closer. Oh, there's sober. Sober's possible. I know there's a bunch of people who start with sober. There's a subreddit for it even. Someone told me about that. I don't know if it's right, but I believed it. So maybe it's sober. I can't really think of another SO. I can't think of any SUs, so I'm just going to go for sober. All right, that was it. Nice. Congrats to the sober starters. It's on the wheel, and I've started with it before, and I noticed there were a ton of people who start with it for a word that isn't one of the big top 10. And someone told me there was like a subreddit that always starts with it because they're sober. Cool. Well, I am very curious what the bot has to say, but first we are going to spin the wheel and see what the wheel has to say. Maybe it'll pick sober today. That would be one off. That would be pretty funny. All right, it did not. It picked, you know what? You couldn't have been pizzazz 2 days ago when the answer was fizzy. Or yesterday, I guess. But pick it 2 days ago, pizzazz. All right, well, maybe tomorrow will be another double Z word. But you know what? No matter what happens, we're going to learn some very interesting things about Z. I'll let you know what that is tomorrow when we type it in. All right. Well, now we'll check with the bot, see how I did. I feel like I did well, but the bot's always humbling. Answer was sober. We started with snipe. All right, already only 41 answers left, so starting on a good foot. It actually suggests steel with double E over steel EA, which is interesting. Knowing that there's an E and doubling it up is actually a really good strategy, according to these bots, both of them. But I did steel with an A. We're down to 11 words. Seder is accepted. SEDER. Okay, good to know. Surer. Ooh, I didn't think about repeating the R. Uh-oh. I might have gotten lucky. We'll see. It might have been okay. I did Shire here. Is Shire on the list? It is. Okay. Is it on this list? It is not. Shire was a bad guess. Right. We're down to 6 words. If we go for sewer, we're fine. Sever is also fine. So my instinct was right that, okay, there's sewer, there's sever. I didn't realize there was satyr also, but I mentioned it later. You want to go for one of those so that you can actually tell the difference. But I actually had mentioned maybe I should have done the W instead of the V. But I did sever, and that's actually fine. We're down to 3 words: sober, sour. What is that? Is a sour someone who breeds pigs? Sure. Let's look that up. Sour. Define sour. Person, machine, or tool that scatters or plants seeds. Oh, sower, like you're sowing seeds. Of course. Okay. And then surer would be a bad one to do. So I did the one that I thought of, which was good because that would have distinguished sower and surer. But I might have had a hard time thinking of them. There was also soger, sorer, and suber, so there's some traps to lose. All right, well, I did manage to get it. I got a little lucky. From snipe, it would do shrew. And then we're at sever here. And now we're down to these 3: saber, safer, and sober. These ERs. It just says go for one of them. So it gets it in 4 or 5. Cool. How about starting with tails? Right away with the cell anagram. It's just sewer. Okay. So always do sewer over sever. Not always, but seems that sewer is a better word. From here, we're down to 5 answers. Shire, skier, sober, super, surer. It's saying to do super or surer because they get each other. And then from there, we got unlucky. Shire, skier, or sober. So you can get quite unlucky and get a 6. Wow. ER words are so tough, especially since they added so many with the update. Well, the update was a long time ago, but I still think of it as the update after they bought the game. Before it was even in an app. Anyway. Cool. What's next? Steel is next. So starting straight from steel instead of doing snipe first. You do snipe after it. Okay. So it's basically the same solve. That's pretty funny. Could also do spine or spire, but let's just move on. Adieu, the most common starting word. And here we're worried about ER, and we're not going to be able to beat every ER, but maybe we'll beat this one. So just novel here. So it's OER now. So now we have an even lower chance to win. We're going to do mopes, and I think mopes is going to be good because we get the S. And so now we're down to sower or sober. So mopes is a filler, though. If we don't want to do a filler, we do mopey, and we don't get the S. And if we still don't want to do a filler, we do bower, or really any of these. These are all tied because they all have the same loss percentage. If we do that, we get the B. But if we did something like Roger, then now we're still in danger, right? So the choice makes a huge difference. And if we do the optimal bower, we're fine because we get the B. But if we do sower, we're fine because we get the S. If we do boxer, we're fine because we get the B. All right, if we do cower, we are not fine. We are now down to boxer, joker, sober, and we can lose. So it really comes down to what choices you make and how lucky you get. But that said, a lot of people will go for an S because it's a common letter. And that saves it. All right, audio. Just the O. So we're going to go clone. Now we know it's O and E. Again, it wants this mopes word. We're going to do begot, though, because it's tied. And that from there we get sober. If we did mopes, we get sober or sour. If we did bogey, we sober or robes. There's just so many choices when it's just, hey, you're going to lose on some words. Because it doesn't really sort. I don't know if it sorts it within these to minimum if you don't lose. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, it probably does. Let's I mean, it prefers to not lose over minimizing the number of guesses, but within the same percentage of losing, it should sort by minimum guesses. Anyway, that's audio. It's also a mess. Stare. Luckily, we get the S with stare, because otherwise we're kind of locked into ER, which is a problem. We're going to do sewer, and then super, and then shire, and then skier, and then sober. So it's a 5 or a 6. I think a lot of people are making these very deep smiles today. Trace tries to get in 2. I highly doubt it does today. We're going to do Wrens. Any starter with both an E and an R is not a good idea in hard mode, in my opinion. Shrew, skier. It's going to be a 5 or a 6. Poor games today all around. And then finally clasp. Gets the S, which is nice, and we're not locked into ER at all. We're going to do a siren, and then sewer, and then shire or sober. So 4 or 5. So clasp does just fine. It gets that S, and we're fine. So that's why we were pretty much fine with snipe as well. Okay. Cool. At least today wasn't the day we started with pizzazz. Hopefully tomorrow isn't as bad. Let's look at the bot. Ooh, it gave me a poor skill score, 81. Let's see. How many start with snipe? 158. Steel is by far the most common follow-up. Steam, serum, shear, smear, sweat, steer, sleek, sewer, strew. It would do strew. That's pretty nice. Gets the W. After shire, it still would do shrew. Give me a 64 for shire. Neither bot liked shire at all. It was a bad guess. Sever was good, but sewer would be better. Yeah, I realized that after. And then sober was exactly what it would have guessed. Interestingly, it thinks that sober is more likely than sower. Makes sense. Let's see if we go back here. Yeah. So sower is given a 13.2% versus the 17.5% on sober and surer. So sober is the way to go according to it because it's more likely to be an answer, whatever that means. It goes clasp, siren, sewer, sober, so it gets lucky on that 4 because I guess it doesn't like shire as much. I don't know. We got 0.3 getting sober. You know, that I feel like that should be higher. I've seen sober is an actual starting word that people use. 0.3 is small. Maybe they haven't played yet. We'll see. 6.9, 36, 68.2, 87.4, 96.4. So it is an ER word. So there's going to be casualties whenever it's an ER word. People losing on boxer mostly. So you have the B, but not the S. That's the thing. You got to get the S. Although I would think with the B, you'd be fine as well, but maybe the B came too late. People who are losing on sower, joker, foyer, sorer. Like I'm more sore than you. All right, let's go back and analyze in regular mode. I have to use a screenshot for that. So it knows I played in hard mode otherwise. Sober. Okay. Let's do it. And 75 skill. Steel, it gave a 77. It wants a filler badly. It's like, do any of these fillers, please. Don't keep using that S and E. We're in an ER trap. But although it does use the E with through and wheel. So it says use the E, but don't use the S. Just get another letter instead. People did steel, shear. Steel is by not nearly as much of a spike. Steel, shear, steam, sever, sheet, serum, smear, sleek, stake. No one did through. I wonder why. All right. It wanted another filler. Really didn't like shire. Here it wanted another filler. It's saying do fillers, do fillers, do fillers, please. It's an ER. Do a filler. You're not in hard mode. Here sober is the top pick. Okay. It does slate, hired, filler, then sewer, sober. Sewer's coming up a lot in these solves. 0.5 got sober in 1. It's not really a bump from a normal day. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe it's just not enough people. 5.3, 31.2, 64.1, 85.5, 95.8. So slightly lower, but not that much lower. Losing on similar words. Boxer, sower, sogger, joker, sorer. All right. Cool. Well, how'd you do? And that is it for Wordle. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a link at the end of the video if you'd like to watch the New York Times games. I also have a pinned comment with all the games I played today. And if you enjoyed this, why don't leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.